by Wesley, and immediately we see Hikaru changing and going for the knight off.
Rook G1, we've seen this move by Magnus as well. It has picked up in popularity quite recently, but I remember, Peter, I think it was you who said that this is actually quite an old move and it's a classical way to respond. White wants to get G4, G5 in.
Yeah, I remember because it was like Ivanchuk used it against Kasparov maybe in 2002 Linares, something like this. I mean, in some old Linares, so I know the move Rook G1. But it was very interesting that Magnus used Rook G1 himself in a couple of Banter Blitz games against Yugilov, I believe. And then suddenly, a few months later, Jan Nepomniachtchi with the white pieces played it against Magnus. And then I thought like, wow, if someone like Jan is ready to use it against Magnus himself, that shows that the move really has potential, because it's not like a big surprise for Magnus, and he was posing problems. It was very interesting.
I mean, posing problems, and take a look at what Wesley is doing, because he's clearly posing a lot of problems. The pawns have advanced to H5, G5. If black goes short castle, he always has to think about moves like G6. Those pawns advanced very quickly, Peter, and the clock situation is still under control. So he wants to go bishop E3, knight A5, eyeing the C4 square in case, and he's gone G6. He doesn't even wait for black to go castle.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You know, this last two moves, bishop e3 and g6, the point was that with rook g1, that's exactly what you want to achieve, to go g4, g5 without wasting time for f3. But, I mean, if we just go back two moves, one of the things that came to my mind was that could white play the move knight d5 here? Because I didn't see a good reaction for black after knight d5, but the way how things happened, I feel like Hikaru managed to kind of get harmony to his pieces.
And Peter, there's a suggestion that chat wants to see a match of you and me teaming up against Jan and Rustam for a hand and brain encounter. What do you think about that?
Wow, that sounds like a big challenge. Yeah, I mean, but okay,
to me, it sounds like a big challenge for Jan and Rustam.
I mean, it's definitely very interesting stuff. But I don't know how these guys are playing Blitz. I don't know how I'm playing Blitz online at all. I can't judge these things. But definitely, if I'm given a chance, I will try my best.
Just 24, if you're listening, let's make it happen. All right, so bishop c4, and what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean,
so white has a big threat of knight f6 picking up that bishop on e6, so black needs to be a little careful right now. Queen d7 is not possible because of a move like knight b6. I think black perhaps, is he looking at just trading on d5 now?
But somehow if you trade everything on d5, then it looks like gonna be threatened. Okay, you can take and play the move queen d7. This you can do. But it gives somehow too much free hand for white. I don't know. And even there are some tricks that if you castle next move, I will have something like queen g4 using all kinds of pins. Okay, you will still have the move rook f6. Just to show the highlights, I mean, that there are a lot of dangers, and we have this in the board.
It's been played because really there was no other way to fight the knight f6 threat, which looked so dangerous for black. He's gone for queen d7. And as you pointed out, short castle is not a possibility for black. And that's a really nice line. So maybe he's gone c3. So you could show it now, Peter, that short castle runs into queen g4, though he does have rook f6 in the end.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it runs into queen g4, rook f6. I mean, it might continue, but finally all the brilliances. I mean, there are something like bishop g5, but it runs into rook take g6.
Wow.
So it's easy to get carried away and finally lose yourself by trying to create something, some beauty.
And I think he's gone for it. So he's seen the resource of rook f6, defending that bishop on e6, because after queen g4, you can't take on d5. The queen on d7 hangs. And white has to be a little careful because that pawn on g6 could be a potential weakness at some point, and his king is still in the center. I think after rook f6, perhaps white could play a move like long castle here, Peter.
Yeah, there is of course no reason to go crazy with bishop g5. Something like long castle, because it's also not entirely obvious for black how to untangle. On the other hand, maybe black can simply say that, you know what, the position is blocked. Yeah, long castle on the board. And maybe I just gonna play rook e8, bishop f8. I don't know. I'm not just mentioning some moves that stabilize the e6 bishop. Or maybe black can also simply maybe try to protect the queen on d7. It's something like rook d8, and then yeah, rook d8 happened.
So all of it on the board, and now of course bishop d5 could be a threat. I'm wondering, he's gone queen h5, he moves away simply. Black might have to be careful with an idea like bishop h6 at some point. So that's always in the air.
Yeah, bishop h6 in the air, and after bishop f8 there is bishop g5 tactics.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And hg5 is mate on h7, otherwise you win material. That's a really pretty move.
Yeah, this already shows that why Hikaru has to spend time. I mean, definitely he would like to play faster, because we have seen that in the first two games, somehow Wesley was always up on the clock, not something Hikaru wants to get used to. And look at this, Hikaru just ignores. He says, you know what, if you want to take on h6, you want to gamble, then do it. I'm not afraid of it. And Wesley goes for bishop h6.
Oh my god, it's happened. So bishop h6, this is the kind of chess we live for. Queen h7 was a threat. The only way to defend it was to move back with the bishop, the only square on d8. g7 still not possible because the queen on h6 hangs. How is white going to continue this attack? What about rook h1 that runs into queen g7?
Yeah, it runs into queen g7. I don't really understand Wesley. I mean, he still has 2 minutes 20 on his clock, and he kind of automatically hit on h6 without even spending a second. I mean, I understand that strategy in the bullet, but in the 5-minute section with 2.5 minutes on the clock, it would be more logical that you first think and then sacrifice.
And now he goes in a think tank. Hard to imagine that he missed bishop d8. So rook d3, he wants to go rook h3 next. He also, I think also interesting, just to show a line, for example, if white was to go rook f4, he's gone queen g7. I think that makes a lot of sense. Falls back with the queen to h3. I think somewhere Wesley missed something. It's not the kind of piece sacrifice that's very sound.
Yeah, it looks very strange. On the other hand, you know, black is in this total box. There is no way of really getting, maybe just something like king b1, king a2, bringing the king to a2, and then just play slowly. Maybe it's possible. I don't know. It's just too complicated to judge this.
I have a feeling that Hikaru's judging this as his opportunity, Peter. He goes d5. He wants to go e4 next. He's given that pawn to open up the position. Also, f2 hangs in certain positions. So he went e4, hitting that rook. And now, can black simply take on f2? But the problem with taking on f2 is it allows a queen e6 check. And you have to take with the bishop, after which you can trade, and queen e6 is just nasty. King h8 runs into rook h3. So the f2 pawn still has immunity. How is black? Does black want to make a move like e3 here?
Yeah, one of the moves why I really would love to have my king already on b1. On the other hand, I mean, let's also not forget, let's count pawns. White sacrificed the piece. It looked like, okay, he's trying to give checkmate. On the other hand, okay, he might say, okay, I have 3 pawns for the bishop and I have long-term play and king b1 on the rook e8, king b1 on the board.
Rook e8, a very nice move because it took away the e6 square from the queen and only then taking the f2 pawn. Now this.
But hang on, now queen h7 check. Is that a move?
Queen h7, g8-7. If you take king h7, the point is that rook h3 is possible. You trade the rooks on h6 and pick up the f2 bishop. But perhaps after queen h7, you could. I mean, you have to go king f8. I mean, good or bad. On the board, Peter. On the board. On the board. And
yeah,
as you called it out, king f8 was the only move. Maybe, and he's gone rook h3. Lots of threats now. Big threats on the board. Yeah,
because queen h8 check is a threat, and quite a deadly one. How do you defend? It's not clear. And just while Hikaru has 10 seconds on the clock. Oh la la. This is.
Is he?
He's in big trouble, very big trouble.
Big trouble. Queen G8. So now there's an option to go Queen H6, Queen G7, Queen H8. But perhaps after Queen H6 check, Hikaru wants to go King to E7.
Yeah, no, but now you can even take Queen takes B7 because G7 check is a threat and Queen G7 runs into Rook H8. So yeah, and Hikaru resigned.
And that's it. That's
I
it.
mean, wow, it was a brilliant game. I mean, it shows Wesley's confidence that he was ready to sacrifice this bishop. I mean, it's a brilliant performance by Wesley so far.
Incredible. We were really doubting that Bishop H6 sacrifice, Peter, but he really made something out of it, showed the initiative. Wesley So continues to be the birthday wrecker.